You can hear me okay, Sonny? Good? Excellent, thank you. Just want to make sure. Okay. Welcome back. Michael, thank you for joining us. Welcome. Hi, Moon. I saw her. There she is. Hi, Moon. Welcome. So DojoX Meditation Sangha. So I'll go over a brief description of the Soto Zen form that you can try and stretch into. As you know, I always like to encourage you to challenge yourself a little more than maybe you did last time and see what feels good or different in order to expand your practice. Remembering to have your posture nice and straight and upright. And if you can think about your posture on the outside as the same on the inside, so the upright posture on the outside is how the posture is on the inside. When we sit, we have our chin is facing forward and our eyes are at a 45-degree angle. Sit out in front about 2 to 3 feet. And your object is to have a nice, bright, wide vision. You don't want to be myopic on anything in particular. I can almost see everybody in this room from looking down at a 45-degree angle. When you take your breathing is in through your nose and out through your nose. So you want to take diaphragmatic breath into your belly, nice and slow. This is the same type of breathing that you were born out of your mother's womb and you came out diaphragmatic breathing. So it's nice and soft breathing. You're not forcing anything and you're not straining the inhale or the exhalation, but really nice and deep. So your belly, when you take your inhalation, your belly comes out and relaxes. And then when you exhale, it softens. It doesn't get sucked in, it just softens. So breathing in through your nose, out through your nose, with your eyes, with a nice broad vision. Pay attention to your breath going in and out. That's how you'll be able to separate from your thinking and actually disconnect from that for, even if it's for a second. For some of us with the ADD brains that think really fast like myself, sometimes I barely even get a quarter of a breath before my thought takes me off into somewhere. But then I can always remember to return back to my breath and honor that I'm beginning again as I practice being present and aware over and over and over without any attachment. The mudra is, again, you put your left hand out, your right hand sits where the fingertips are meeting next to each other, or right to the edge of the crease of the fingers, and then your thumbs come together. It looks about like that, and it comes right about 2 inches or sitting right on your lap, just a little bit, yeah, right about there, Emerald. That's really nice. And that's at the base of your Hara. In Japanese, that center point in your body is in Japanese called your Hara. So when you take a nice deep diaphragmatic breath, you're breathing into like you're holding a nice infant or something very soft and gentle down there, and your thumbs are not pushing against each other, but very soft and natural, touching just barely, like there was rice paper right in between. Okay, so that's the posture for meditation, and you can't get this wrong. So if you do need to move to adjust your legs or change your posture at all, I'm going to invite you to do that, but do that at a slower pace than you normally would. Move at a nice soft pace, not something fast. Even if you have an itch, see if you can move to that itch a little slower than you normally would itch yourself. So that you can not be, by your thinking will create different itches, discomfort itches, and that to move with gentleness and ease into whatever movement you're doing. When we start the meditation, I'm going to ring the bell 3 times. You'll see me put my hand up in a posture like this. This is called a gassho, when your hands are here and you bow like this. So when I start the meditation, I'm going to have one hand here and I'm going to ring the bell 3 times. So I'll put the striker on my leg. This is the striker. And then I'll take the striker and I'll put it up here like this, and I'll put my hands together in a gassho. Everybody here is going to put their hands up in this gassho, and we'll bow nice and slow and easy together to say thank you for everybody to be here, and we thank each other and we thank ourselves for showing up for this time and space. That starts our 20 minutes meditation. Then you bring your hands back to the mudra, and we'll sit like that for 20 minutes. At the end of the 20 minutes, we'll end it the same way. Our hand will come up, we'll ring the bell 3 times, come up to a posture of the gassho, and then we'll go into a 10-minute talk. And after the talk, we'll go into one more 10-minute sitting to wrap up our evening together. So it's a very simple but very profound way of sitting in Sangha or in a group together and sitting in stillness and silence. So I really honor and appreciate all of you being here and taking this time to sit together as a Sangha. It means the world to me. So let's go ahead and get in your position that feels comfortable to you. Did you want another pillow on your other leg there, Lorenzo?
Yeah.
On that? Okay, there's one right behind you if you wanted to just rest it on the outside of your knee there. Okay, great. All right. Here we go. Any questions before we start? I always like to ask to make sure I didn't miss anything. No, okay, great. Oh, and you can't get this wrong. You're doing it perfect already. You made it. Thank you. All right. Adjust your body if you need to. Move it around a little bit. Let the circulation come back to your joints. Blood flow is good. Let you know that you're alive. Tonight's Dharma talk is on your head, your heart, and your Hara. And those three areas are all part of the human experience. I'd say 70 to 80% of people live the experience from their head. They operate from this place of their head. And I've witnessed through lots and lots of men's rites of passage weekends and men's work that a lot of men really operate from their neck up. And that the idea that the whole body is what we want to start to be in relationship with, and really let that be a part of our human experience. And through Zazen and seated meditation and breathing into your Hara, you're activating or stimulating that part of yourself that may have been dormant or asleep for sometimes decades, or could be your lifetime, that you've not been in touch with that part of yourself since you were a young child. And so to reactivate and open up your Hara is again bringing you back to that childlike intuition or place of stillness and silence within inside yourself that you can always trust and rely on, that it's a part of who you are. And you know, for me, being in my head and in my thinking can be some of the most painful things that I experience, are what I tell myself. And I'll even use the phrase of that I self-bully myself through my thoughts. And when I do something and I maybe what may look like a failure, I'll judge it as bad instead of, oh, it's a learning experience. But my mind will be at a place where it's very judgmental and has a lot of opinions. And so the more that I sit in Zazen and seated meditation, I learn that I can have an experience, but I don't have to either buy into or have my mind be what is functioning as the primary and predominant part of my reality. I can actually rest in my Hara, that soft, gentle, tranquil ease that can be in your body that sometimes you experience when you sit in seated meditation. Now, so you have the dynamic of your head and your Hara, and when you sit in meditation, you're going back and forth from your thoughts and then following your breath and returning back to your Hara. So you get to practice at it, that it's exactly like working out in the gym or training for a triathlon, that it's a muscle that the more that you practice and train at it, you actually get more predominantly where you can access or be in your Hara and not only coming from your thinking. So it's a nice place to go to, like, for me, every single morning I recommend is sitting in meditation and dropping into that place inside yourself to let yourself remember what's true about you. I know sitting by the ocean for me, I can really tap into that place. Sometimes even with my athletics, I can drop into that place. I went for a swim this morning, and I noticed that after about 15 minutes, I started calm. My whole body calmed down, and I was moving through the water without my thinking being the predominant. For me, it's I'm gonna die, or there's a shark around me, and I don't, it's just talking to me all the time like that. And so training at seated meditation gives that relationship. So you have your head and your hara. But then there's another key element, is this place of the heart, the feelings in your body. That are you letting the emotions that are running through your body that can feel terrible, or that can feel very joyous or sad, or sometimes shame for me, that am I letting those emotions of my heart be active in the human experience? And so that I grew up being that especially as a man, don't cry, don't show your emotions. And it was shut it down like very fast at a young age, that it was not okay for me to feel all my emotions. And it really wasn't until I got into my men's work about 15, 20 years ago that I started accessing this place inside of myself that I repressed and denied and hid, and would don't cry, men don't cry. And that was like a theme of in judo of if you get hurt, you don't show a tear. If you're hurt or you show emotion, you're going to probably get taken out and not be able to compete or have fun anymore. So being in relationship with your feelings just as much as you are with your thoughts and your hara is now bringing alive your body in a way that may have been dormant or suppressed and denied or hidden for decades and decades and decades and decades for some of us. And the willingness to start to let that flow of emotions be okay, as part of the human experience, letting the emotion go through you and resting back into your hara of I don't need to hold on to the emotion, and it doesn't mean it's going to be forever. I know for myself, I can feel depression sometimes, or a sadness that I think is going to just stay there, and I want to change or alter the way that I'm thinking or feeling. And so that through breathing in diaphragmatic breath and sitting in Zazen, I can really trust in the process of I get to actually feel this sadness, or feel this depression, or feel this joy, or feel this depth of love for somebody or something, that it's so good when I really let myself go through the full experience. When I'm going through the sadness or depression, it feels terrible. And then when I come out the other side, though, I'm like, wow, look at this. It's actually something that I've learned something from. My emotions taught me something about myself that really can have my human experience be at another level that I never even dreamed was possible. I was only really accessing, there was a time I wanted to ignore even from the neck down, even my gut. I was like, put it away. I grew up in Zen. I thought it was just I'm just going to trust my brain and create businesses and ignore and work hard, and I knew I could make money, and people valued that. And so this value of sitting with all these two other areas of your hara and your heart and your emotional fluidity and the softness in your hara, that can be that place of stillness and silence, it's always accessible for you. So all three areas, your head has just as much value as all three of these. It's not letting it, what are you putting in your brain? What are you letting go in there at nighttime? Am I scrolling all the way up until I go to bed? And man, it can put some weird stuff in my head. And I lay there in bed of what was I thinking? Or me and Amber used to watch 24. Do anybody remember that? I think it was Keith or Sutherland. Man, that was like a pedal to the metal, and we'd be awake for another 2 hours because it was so intense. Like, now that I'm aware of that, I don't want my brain to take in that stimulation right before I go to bed. And so that, can I shut down and actually take this time like we're doing right now to put away electronics before I go to bed? Maybe turn down the lights and let the mood change, and let your nervous system calm and relax before you go and get into bed. And that's the brain calming down so that it's not on sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, all the way till you get into bed. And man, I've had experiences where it takes me an hour or two to go to bed. And I just lay there and toss and turn, and I'm like, and I mean, there's times I get up and meditate again, and when it gets real intense, I've meditated at 2 in the morning, 12 at night. It's like, when it's getting intense up here, I trust that I can return back to a pillow or a spot where I can sit in stillness and silence, and return back to that soft place that I can trust and know that I'm okay. And then go back to bed. So remembering that, daily practice of doing it in the morning, maybe taking some breaths at nighttime before you go to bed. In the middle of the day, if things are getting intense, can you stop and take some breaths for yourself? And just 3 deep breaths can really be magic. 1 minute meditation, you can drop right into your Hara. Doesn't take a big 20 minutes, hour. I mean, it's great to do it, but know that you can do it in 3 breaths. You can do it in 1 breath. And practice that. Trust it and say, oh yeah, I know you're there for me. It's bringing up like being in relationship with God. Like, I can always trust that God is there for me and know that He's got my back. And it takes that deep breath, and I instantly am connected with Him with that diaphragmatic breath. So trust all 3, your head, your heart, and your Hara, and have that experience be dynamic and uncomfortable and joyful as possible. Just like I feel when I sit with all of you. It feels really good to my heart. So I thank you all for being here again, and I just want that dynamicness to resonate through all of us, and that's why I practice daily and encourage this type of work together. So as you sit, notice your head. Maybe notice what you're feeling. And then see if you can follow that breath back down into your Hara and just really anchor into that place inside your belly that you can be soft with yourself and gentle. And then boom, I'm right back in my brain again. Just the ADDness kicks right in, and that's wonderful. It's part of my experience. So, all right. Thank you for being here tonight. When you finish up, if you could fluff back up your pillow. When you got here, it was nice and fluffed. Just knead it like a piece of dough, and then if there's any lint on your zabuton, if you can just dust it off, and then I'll take care of that. And again, if we can keep the energy where when we get up, if we can give hugs, handshakes, and not a lot of talking, it would be great to just keep this energy and see how long you can really work with it on your way out, and know that we'll be together next week. And if you have any questions or anything during the week, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here for you. So thank you all for being here. Let's go ahead and get into our position for our 10-minute sitting. And thank you for joining us online, Sunny and Michael. I appreciate you both being here. It's wonderful. From Thailand and from South Kona. Down south, right? Yeah. All right. Here we go. Thank you for coming tonight. Again, if you want to access any of the meditations or a 10-minute or 20-minute meditation, any of the Dharma talks are on YouTube at Tony Bonnici DojoX. So feel free to access them there, and I'll continue to upload them there for your support and encouragement to sit daily. And if you want to bring a friend, feel free. Thank you for joining us online too. Aloha.